This podcast is hosted by RPP.
If you are easily spooked, creeped, or offended, this might not be the podcast for you.
Do you want me to begin?
Yeah, I guess so. Like nervous and excited and like just thrilled to be here.
It's like a swimming pool. You just got to jump in.
Yeah, I think so.
Welcome back, everyone, to the fridge. This is I Think My Fridge is Haunted. My name is Gemma, and this is...
Lana Lunacy.
Hello!
God, I'm so excited.
You guys, it's been way too long. It's actually been 10 months.
10 months.
It's been a hell of a year. I have to admit, when Esther left the podcast to do criminology and do a few other things as well, even though we've remained really close friends, I was a bit lost.
Yeah.
Because I kind of thought, who else
Yeah,
could do this weird thing that we do?
That's it. She was your other half for 5 seasons? That's significant.
And when I thought of you as a potential host, I sat on that idea for 2 weeks. Because I thought if I asked you, you'd think, no, weirdo.
This is when you asked me, I was like, yes, of course.
Yeah, I know. You were like,
me?
yeah, I'll do it. And I was like,
No, it's like an absolute dream come true. Like I've always wanted to do a podcast. I think like half the world at the moment.
yeah.
But to do what
Everyone's a podcaster, aren't they?
they are.
I feel like when I say I'm a podcaster, people almost like roll their eyes.
I was kind of thinking about it last night though, like in the nervousness of everything happening. I was like, why do people love podcasters? Why do I want to do this? And I think it's like a sense of connection. It's a sense of community. It's finding people like-minded and want to talk about all the weird stuff together.
Right. Yeah, like I said to my friend Greg, I've got a new co-host, and he looked at me. He's been on the podcast before, and he said, "So is she?" And I said, "Yeah, she's a spooky bitch. She's like me."
yeah, that's it. Like always have been, always will be. It's just fascinating.
Yeah. You have quite the credentials. The one that I'm most impressed by is that you've worked at Cryle Castle.
Yes.
For those international listeners, we have the most ridiculous structure out in regional Victoria. If you're in Melbourne, it takes about 2 hours to drive there. It's a medieval castle.
It is a medieval castle in the middle of country Victoria.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
And I've been there to do a murder mystery and dinner night.
The best.
I think back in the day, it was used for rave parties when it was sort of between owners.
Yeah, it has quite a history, and it seems to be most known for these raves.
Yeah. People always say, "Oh, I went to a rave there. Let's not talk about it."
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember the last time I was there, and I'm like,
I know why.
Yeah, it was like very brief history is like it was started in the 70s by an absolute madman, Keith Ryle.
Right.
And it basically, he was like, I want to build a castle. And the city council was like, no, no, you can't do that. And he's like, oh, well, I have enough money. I'm going to do it anyway.
Right.
And so he did.
But I love that he actually wanted to create like the surrounding Norman villages and all. And, he wanted to make it a whole Lord of the Manor situation, didn't he?
Absolutely. Like he wanted to be the king of the castle.
Like, how we have Sovereign Hill, which is the gold rush colonial times of Australia. It's a theme park where, you pretend it's 1860 or something like that. It's kind of like down the road. You can pretend it's 1260.
Just a leap in history.
Yeah. I love that.
It's so wild, and I think because it is so ridiculous, it created its own history. Like there's stories about like when it first opened of actual human remains being there.
What?
Yeah, there's a whole story about Indian bones and skeletons being there. They got sent back, thankfully, but there used to be a zoo. There was lions, wild.
When you say Indian bones,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
I like imported skeletons from India.
Why?
No idea. I think he probably wasn't allowed to get them locally.
He was a collector of, I suppose, curiosities.
Yeah.
And he was
definitely.
like, I want some skeletons.
Yep.
And
Well, because there's like one part of it is the torture chamber.
yes.
So he wanted a kind of living museum, I say with air quotes. And he has setups of like the racks and, you know, the chambers and all the torture devices, the Iron Maidens and all that kind of stuff. And he wanted bodies in them.
Real ones.
Yeah.
Thing is that, like, people steal them. So when I went to Paris, I went to the catacombs underneath. And when we came back up after doing, like, you know, the circuit, there was like a pile of skulls at reception. I was like, oh, what are these? She goes, oh, it's when we check people's backpacks and they like take skulls.
What? The audacity.
So like at the end of the day, there's like a little pile of skulls at reception that people have tried to steal.
Oh my God. No, sir, you can't take that with you actually.
Yeah, see, that belongs here. Has to stay here with the rest of that body's bones.
Yeah. And like, don't people think that's super haunted and they're like, if they take bones, they're cursed and all that kind of thing?
I'd be more like worried about catching plague.
Yeah, right.
But then, you know, I don't know what they're doing with it. What are they, drinking champagne out of it or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They just want to be cool. It's cool to steal things.
Don't be a wanker. Don't be a grave robber.
Don't steal history.
Just don't.
And that goes for, you know, England. Don't steal. I'm sorry. Beg your pardon. Don't steal things.
So Lana, you're here.
I am.
I'm so happy. I hope that people are super excited about getting to know you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've still got the jitters, obviously, but all I want to do is just share like all these thoughts that I've had forever and interests in, you know, history and cryptids and conspiracies, and like you sit there by yourself and you think of everything, and there's a whole community of people that are interested in that. So I just want to share that. I'm really thrilled to be here. Yeah,
cool. Yeah, sometimes I share and it's just like, it can go any way. Like the other day, because I'm an insomniac, I said to my husband, do you know what kept me up last night? And he goes, what? What are they going to call the next century? It stresses me out, even though I'm going to be long gone.
Yeah. What's it going to be about, though?
What's 2101 going to be called? Is it going to be 2101, 2001, 21,001?
Yeah.
It's too much.
I wonder if like low-cut jeans will still come back in style at the turn of the century. I hope not.
Oh, for all we know, corsets and bustles will come back. Won't that be cool?
Yeah, that'll be great. Everyone involved. But you're right. Like I heard recently about that we're possibly going into a new like era of humanity. Like, you know how there's been the golden age and the stone age and like all that.
Right.
Like, because of technology, we're going into like a new age of human. And I can't remember the name of it. I'm sure someone will know it. But because of the rapid change in technology, isn't it strange to be a part of that? Like, considering all the history of the last few years. Yeah. It just, when you're in it, it doesn't seem real. But when you're looking back at history, it's like, oh yeah, of course that happened.
Yeah, we used to have phones attached to the wall.
Yep. Not that long ago either.
And you couldn't take them with you.
No.
Like when you left your house, you were completely untethered from society, your friends. Like you were in the wilderness alone.
Yep.
Whereas now people can just call you.
I know, it's awful.
It's like when you meet someone, you say, oh, be at Flinders Street station at midday. Back in the day, if you were late or they were running late or something like that, you just didn't know.
Yeah. It's like such a freeing thought, I think now. But back then, I don't know. I suppose it was like scary, but also like, yeah, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to know where they are all the time. And now you can know where anyone is at any time. And it's both good and bad.
It's good and bad.
It's, yeah.
Totally.
Two
totally.
sides.
Yeah.
Two sides. Mm-hmm.
So why don't we get into facts from the freezer? Facts from the freezer.
Facts from the freezer.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I've got like a mini almost story, but I thought it'd be good for me to like launch into what I'm interested in so people can kind of learn about what my interests are.
The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Gemma, did you know that in 1897 a dead pope was put on trial?
Oh, I feel like I've vaguely heard of this.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yeah. So in 1897, a corpse of a pope was put on trial by his living successor. So Pope Formosus, who became pope in 891, and at the time he became pope, he was still Bishop of Porto, Italy, which is super illegal. So you couldn't be two. You couldn't have two positions, basically, in the church.
Oh, so it was like having two wives?
Yeah, pretty much. It was like, you can't be the pope of two different, like, you can't be a bishop and a pope. Like, that's not okay.
But he got away with it because of the lack of technology back then.
Exactly right.
No one was to know.
No one really cared. And that was the interesting thing. Everyone was like, oh, yeah, whatever. And he was like, oh, okay, I'm safe. All right.
Yeah, they were all too busy, like, farming 18 hours a day.
Yeah, farming, Italy, drinking wine also. Like, they just were like, it's all right. He seems okay. So Pope Formosus, he died of natural causes in April of 896. After he died, his predecessor died 15 days into his papacy. Isn't that a fun word? Papacy?
Papacy?
Papacy.
Yep.
15 days, died.
Okay. Yeah, but popes are usually pretty old when they, step up.
Especially in like 897, like...
Oh,
what's the
what was he,
lifespan?
43?
Yeah, exactly. Bless you. And then Pope Stephen VI was elected, who was allegedly just as guilty as Formosus about ruling over the two dioceses. And he was held, as he had held two overlapping bishop possessions in the past. So he was just as bad as Formosus.
It's rife.
Yeah, they don't care. The popes, they're like, I'm the boss. What do you mean? I can do whatever I want.
I'm a pope.
Yeah, exactly right. So the Spoleto family, who used their influences to elect popes and people in power, including Stephen, to their liking at the time. Formosus didn't really like this Spoleto family. Didn't really listen to them. The Spoletos were like, we want this guy in next, or we want this guy elected. And Formosus was like, no, I don't think I will. So there's a bit of a feud going on, and it's great. The Spoletos were planning to kill Pope Formosus, and then he died of natural causes before they could.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't you love how the medieval times work?
Yeah, he was just like, peace out, I'm done. Can't even get to me. So Pope Stephen VI, to cover up his own illegal activity, Stephen and a member of the Spoleto family conspired to bring disgrace to the former Pope Formosus, who had been dead for 9 months by this
Such
time.
was their rage.
They were like, this is ridiculous.
We've both got the Italian hands for some reason now.
Can't stop. It's just too good. So they'd been conspiring at the time. He'd been dead for 9 months already and was hardly qualified to defend himself, of course.
Because he's dead.
Because he's dead in the ground, rotting. Yeah. Let the guy leave him be. Nevertheless, Pope Stephen VI had the body of Formosus dug up, dressed up in priestly robes, and propped on the venerable seat of Roman pontiffs to stand trial.
# petty.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, oh, he's dead? I don't really care. I'm in power now and I want to be,
Dig that bastard up.
Dig him up. This is ridiculous. He was even appointed a teenage deacon to speak on his behalf.
This is... I don't even have words.
Yeah, I know. So this poor teenager is standing there like, yeah, oh, no, he said he's not guilty.
Got manoeuvring in his chin to look like he's talking.
Like a little like wicked style, like whisper in the ear.
Yeah.
During the trial as well, Stephen was like flying into these fits of rages and mocking the silence of the corpse.
Why don't you say something?
Why you can't defend yourself? Like, come on, sir. So Formosus,
his silence is his guilt.
yeah, exactly right. And the whole like jury and the town was just like, yeah, Okay, sure.
Bizarre.
That makes sense. So strange. Like, 897. Like, what are they doing? They need entertainment, I suppose. So, Formosus, of course, was found guilty on perjury and breaking canon law. Stephen had the corpse stripped of the robes and the jewels, 3 fingers cut off and dumped into a common grave. More sources.
That'll teach ya.
Yeah, take that, buddy.
It's so weird.
I know. Like, I suppose they were so about the afterlife. They were like, you can see us. You can see what we're doing. More sources claim that Stephen VI later ordered the corpse to be dug up again and then dumped in the river.
This guy is mad. I mean, this guy is petty. Like, this is, I mean, he needs hobbies.
Well, does the church not have anything else to do? Like,
Apparently not.
No. The story eventually goes that the corpse was finally fished out of the river and put into a grave once again.
Shh, don't tell him. Don't tell
him.
Stephen.
It was like he was standing by the river like, like every day. End of all that story basically is like Stephen, the town was like, that's not okay actually. Stephen was kind of separated himself from the family and they all kind of went away, and then eventually he was like caught, put in jail and strangled to death.
Caught for what?
I think just for like absolute lunacy, like
right.
like,
yeah. Interfering with a corpse, perhaps.
Yeah, they just went, that's not okay. Even if you're the Pope, it's not okay, I don't think.
Yeah. So they slept on the situation.
Yeah.
And they woke up and they went, is that weird to you?
Does that seem right?
It's like, I didn't want to say anything, but you're like kind of reading the room and saying what everyone's thinking.
Yeah, exactly right. So chased out of the town, a dishonourable death, I will say.
There's so many crap Stephens in history.
I know. Sorry to any Stephens listening. It's not
we should get on to Stephen and Matilda, the first Queen of England, at some point. He was a crap Stephen.
Yeah, that's right. I do highly recommend as well. There's a great video on YouTube called 3 Hilariously Terrible Popes. It's by BuzzFeed. It's old BuzzFeed.
Right.
Shane Madej, who's from Now Watcher, which is a YouTube channel.
Don't know it.
Very good. They do like true crime, paranormal investigations, but also like conspiracy theories, and like they're just absolute nerds about it, and I love them. So,
right. Oh, cool.
Yeah, he also does puppet history, which we will have to watch. I'm going to send you so much puppet history.
I feel like I've heard of that on another podcast this week.
Yeah.
Oh, who was talking about it? I think it might have been the guys from Pen of Trash, or... Oh, no, it might have been the girls from Drinking the Kool-Aid. Someone was talking about it.
It's just brilliant. It's entertaining, but it's also so educational, and I love them. So yes, I got the idea from them, and fascinating. People are fascinating.
Speaking of fascinating people, shall we get into this mess?
Did you have a fact, or did you want to get straight into it?
Oh yes, I've got a fact. Actually, my fact relates to today's story.
Fantastic.
So, did you watch the show The Last of Us?
I haven't yet. I have played the game though.
Oh, so you know.
I know of it, obviously.
You've seen, you've heard.
Yes, I just can't deal with more Pedro Pascal.
He is everywhere.
I know, he's everywhere. Love, obviously. But I think the emotional roller coaster of it, knowing what it is, I'm like,
yeah.
But yes, tell me.
Oh, we're still not over episode 3.
Wailing.
So, The Last of Us features a fictional fungus that takes over people's brains and turns them into zombies. The fungus is inspired by real-life parasitic fungi called cordyceps, of which there are over 400 species. About 35 of them are known to turn insects into zombies, but there could be as many as 600 in existence. We don't know exactly. So the fungus grows inside the host and eventually bursts out of their head.
Oh my God.
So, when we saw basically fungus zombies on TV, we're like, "Oh, that's new." No,
actually,
no, it's a thing.
I have a feeling that I was reading about the ants that become zombies. Like
That could be the same thing because they do target ants a lot.
Yeah, and they like climb up high, so the fungus grows, and then it's just horrific, isn't it?
Yeah, it's maniacal.
Yeah, poor animal kingdom. Right,
It's
with all this.
brutal.
Absolutely.
Hello, twisted humans. Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting? Then this is the podcast for you. In 1952, there was a record high of UFOs reported. 1,500 sightings. There has been evidence of human sacrifice, devil worship, and it is haunted by more spirits than can be counted. A family of 2 adults and 2 kids reportedly saw a giant flying thing with glowing red eyes.
And meanwhile, the family's nanny that helped Veronica to care for her and Lucian's children was found bludgeoned to death in the basement of their family home. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked.
So today's case is, I'm going to categorize under unsolved and ongoing.
Wonderful.
My sources are so many. ABC News, BBC, People.com, Herald Sun, Sky News, The Age, The Daily Mail, News.com.au, The Guardian, 9 News, and Dr. Todd Grundy on YouTube, who I've now turned you on to as a fan.
Oh my God, he's so funny.
He is funny. He's very dry.
Very, very, the deadpan nature of the comedy is so good.
Yeah.
Love him though.
Also, he's generally correct. Like when
Right.
he throws his hat into the ring about unsolved cases or ongoing or ones that are about to go to court, he's usually right.
That's amazing. I love that.
So just a disclaimer, we are recording this on Monday, 14th of August. This case is ongoing and there's new information coming out of this, about this case, quite often. So it's highly possible that by the time this comes out, a whole big revelation has happened. Too bad. You're going to have to wait for
Don't worry
part
about it.
2 and then we'll
Heck yeah.
come into it again. So we're talking about these mushroom deaths.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Okay.
I'm so glad.
Now I have other cases that I want to talk about, but this is important because everyone's obsessed with it. It's in the New York Times. It's everywhere.
Across the world.
It's across the world.
I saw reports in England,
Right?
everywhere.
Yep. Let's get onto the timeline
Yes,
before we
please.
get onto anything else. So, Saturday, July 29th, just a couple of weeks ago, Don and Gail Patterson, they're a couple in their, I think, late 60s, early 70s, I would say. They go for lunch at their daughter-in-law's house. Her name is Erin Patterson. Now, Erin's 2 young children are there as well, a daughter and a son. We don't know their ages just yet. Erin is hosting a lunch. Also at the lunch are the Wilkinsons, Heather and Ian Wilkinson. Now, Ian is the local pastor, not pasta bolognese, pastor.
I couldn't help but think of that any time anyone said it. I was like, pasta.
Yeah.
Wait, no, that's rude.
Yeah. So they go over to Erin's house for a lunch. It is alleged that the lunch was, some people have said stroganoff and some people have said beef Wellington. In any case, the lunch included mushrooms.
Yes.
The children's father, Simon Patterson, was also invited, but he pulled out at the last minute for an unknown reason. That night, Don, Gail, and Heather, as well as Ian, all presented symptoms of what they thought were food poisoning. Less than a week later, Don, Gail, and Heather are dead. It's very quickly understood that they have ingested what's known as death cap mushrooms. There are small news items at this point reporting the deaths from mushroom poisoning, also adding that there is no public danger. There are no mushroom recalls, no public health warnings issued, and the case actually just kind of disappeared for a couple of days. I remember it was just very, just on the news, 3 people have died from mushroom poisoning. There's no public health, nothing to be worried about. That's all. After a couple of days, it exploded.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gone off.
It's just, for the last probably 10 days, it's been all Melbourne has been talking about.
Yeah, non-stop, first thing on the news.
So this has happened in eastern Victoria. It's about 2 hours outside of Melbourne. So it's a regional area, but it's quite suburban. Like it's small town, but it has like sort of a suburban sort of feel to it.
Yeah.
It's Leongatha.
Yes.
So detectives search Erin Patterson's home on Saturday, August the 5th. So we're talking 1 week ahead of the lunch.
Yeah.
1 week
Past.
ahead in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you meant.
Yeah. Detectives search Erin Patterson's home on Saturday, 5th of August, and question her over the deadly lunch, while Ian Wilkinson, who is the pastor, he's fighting for his life in hospital.
Yeah.
They're actually saying that he's looking for a liver transplant at this point. So at the time that we're recording, he's still in a critical condition.
Yeah, right.
On Sunday, the 6th of August, the Herald Sun reveals that police are probing whether a food dehydrator was used to prepare the lunch and then thrown away at the local tip the day after the meals were served.
Man, oh my.
So, and a dehydrator was actually found at the tip and was taken away for forensic testing. Monday, August 7th, Homicide Squad Detective Dean Thomas confirms that Erin Patterson, who is... Now, she's the daughter-in-law of Don and Gail, but what I also didn't say, she's actually the ex-daughter-in-law. So she and her husband are separated.
Yeah.
The detective confirms that Erin is a suspect in the case. Outside her Leongatha home, she tells the media, and I transcribed this last night, she said... And you've seen the video, haven't you? She's crying. They've sort of cornered her. She's come in. She's got her groceries, and they've said, "What happened? Where'd you get the mushrooms? How do you feel about the whole situation?" And she's just trying to get into her house.
Yeah.
She said, "It's a tragedy what's happened. I'm so devastated by what's happened. The loss of Don, and Don is still in hospital, but also Ian and Heather and Gail, who were some of the best people I've ever met. Gail was the mum I didn't have because my mum passed away 4 years ago, and Gail's never been anything but good and kind to me. And Ian and Heather was some of the best people I've ever met. They never did anything wrong to me, and I'm so devastated about what's happened. And the loss to the community and to the families and to my own children have lost their grandmother. What I can tell you is that I just can't fathom what has happened. I just can't fathom what has happened. That Ian and Heather have lost their lives, and Gail has lost her life, and Don is still in hospital. And I pray that he pulls through because my children love him. I'm devastated. I loved them, and I can't believe that this has happened, and I'm so sorry they have lost their lives, and I just can't believe it. Just can't believe it. Leave me alone now, please." When asked if she had anything to say about being a suspect, she said, "Yes, I say I didn't do anything. I loved them, and I'm devastated that they're gone. I hope with every fibre of my being that Don pulls through." She would not answer where she got the mushrooms, although she was asked 2 or 3 times. Why does she keep saying Don is in hospital?
Yeah. That's like one of the clearest things of all of this.
Yeah.
Why Don?
Don
It's not
was one of the first people to die.
Yeah.
Ian is in hospital. I'm sorry, but I know my father-in-law's name.
Right?
His name is Rex. It's always been Rex. It is not Don.
And it's a cool name too. I love that. But like, you like understanding all the grief of it, but she says it so many times.
Yeah.
So
And
many
it's
times.
really bizarre. Now, unless we've been given the wrong information
Yeah.
about the names.
And every news station in the world has
Yeah.
been given the wrong names.
Yeah, that was very bizarre to me. Tuesday, 8th of August, the Herald Sun reveals that Erin Patterson's ex-husband Simon, and this shocked everyone, suffered a mystery gut illness in May 2022, which landed him in an induced coma for either 16 or 21 days, depending on which article you're reading. It's possible he was in hospital overall for 21 days, and maybe he was in the coma for 16 days.
Yeah.
It's also confirmed that police are forensically testing the dehydrator that was discovered dumped at the nearby rubbish tip.
Can't wait for those results.
The following day, Wednesday 9th of August, police returned to the Koonwarra tip to question workers and to obtain CCTV footage. So the police are serious.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're not taking this lightly at all.
No, not at all. There's so many eyes on them. Like everyone's looking at them and they need to get those answers. I can't imagine the amount of pressure they are under. Yeah.
100%. Thursday, 10th of August, the Herald Sun reveals that Simon Patterson told friends last year that he believed his ex-wife, Erin Patterson, had tried to poison him. The Herald Sun puts out the front page headline, "She tried to poison me." I don't know if I believe this. I feel like there's a big cloud of hearsay over this.
Like what friend are you talking to? Two, he's not saying anything to anyone.
No, I believe that he's just been talking through like some sort of a publicist or something like that at this point. I think what they've done is they've gone on his Facebook page, they've noticed that he was in hospital, he had an undisclosed gut issue, and I don't know that he has expressly said she tried to poison me.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of speculation, and I don't know necessarily that it's true. So I'm going to take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We have to remember that we don't know if she's guilty or innocent. And if she's innocent, the trauma that she's been put through in the last 10 days or 14 days has been indescribable.
Absolutely.
So we've got to give her some sort of benefit of the doubt, I think.
Yeah.
Even though it's not looking good for her.
Not at all. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, yes, all the arrows might point, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
Right.
It's also not for us to judge. It's literally the police's job. Yes, we can sit here and talk about it all we want, and I'm sure we will. But this, at the end of the day, this is a woman who's just lost like a decent chunk of her family,
right?
Including her parents, years prior.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have a little bit of like mercy for someone like this.
Totally. I completely, So it was like in the first few days, a lot of people that I know were, oh, she's guilty. I was like, just wait. Let's just wait. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Let's just remember, we've just come out of a new Kathleen Folbig scandal where for 30 years people thought that she was this big mass murderer, and it's now come out that maybe she was innocent this entire time, and all of those 4 children were actually just ill babies.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to have another Lindy Chamberlain or another Kathleen Folbig.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, I bet in like maybe a year's time we'll be like, remember that? And we all thought this and da-da-da. Like,
yeah, we're all running down the street with pitchforks.
Absolutely.
And Anyway, on Thursday morning, Erin is seen leaving her house with a large suitcase and says that she's going to see her lawyers. Later that day, around 5 p.m, a representative from that law firm arrives at her house to hand deliver a letter, but she's not home. They've got no way of contacting her because all of her electronic devices have been seized.
Yeah.
So the weird thing about that is that if they knew that she was coming to their office, why would they send someone way out to Leongatha to hand deliver a letter?
Yeah.
So people did question that. Like for a minute there, it was, oh, has she gone on the run? She didn't go on the run because at around 2 o'clock that day, she was seen at an ATM in the Court District in the centre of Melbourne.
Oh, right.
So I think she really did go to the lawyers, but perhaps there was some kind of error of communication somewhere along the way.
It's all possible, isn't it?
Yeah. So who is Erin Patterson? She is a 48-year-old mum of 2. She has a large real estate portfolio of 4 or 5 properties, which one source said were all paid in cash. And she's apparently she's never worked. Like she's never had a job. So I think real estate must be her form of income.
Yeah, right.
So I guess that we can presume that she comes from a wealthy background. Maybe she's been quite clever in investing her money and she's done well.
Yeah.
We know that both her parents passed away in 2019 and that her parents-in-law were like a second set of parents to her. According to Dr. Todd Grande's video, she has been described as a lover of unicorns and also someone who is quite naive, and she had, quote, an odd relationship with her husband. We don't know what that means.
Yeah, that part of his video really intrigued me because I watched his video first and then I went and watched that interview with her in front of her car. And I went, that looks so suspicious. And then I thought back to that description of her and I went, she's not really looking at them. She's not really answering their questions.
She was disconnected now that you say that.
Very disconnected. And I wonder, like, I don't want to pile on. I don't want to make excuses or anything, but was it loves unicorns? I think he said something about, like, she's quite blunt. She doesn't like small talk. I was like,
right.
Is she of the neurospicy variety?
Highly possible.
If she hasn't, like, worked a particular job her whole life and has just, you know, been able to focus on her real estate and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, we don't know, obviously, but I couldn't just assume that she's guilty because she's not responding the way you think she should.
Yeah.
But I went, oh, that's weird. An odd relationship. Oh, she likes unicorns. And I went, oh, that just sounds like a neurodivergent person.
It's like in that movie Hoodwinked. You can't just arrest someone for being creepy.
I'm so happy you said Hoodwinked. I love that movie so much.
I love it.
The
Those
goat.
Goodies.
Oh my God.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about the family circumstances.
Yes.
At the time that this lunch happened. So it has been speculated that the lunch was proposed by Erin to get the family together in order to discuss Erin getting back together with Simon. So they'd been split up for some time, and I did read somewhere that they had been living in separate homes for quite some time as well, even when they were married.
Even when they were married?
Yeah, now that's alleged. That's just something I read. I don't know if it's true.
Well, that was my next question. I was like, how long has it been since they've been separated, I suppose?
Don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything anywhere either. So, but if that's alleged, obviously, who knows?
Now, apparently Ian, who's the pastor, he was going to be attending as a mediator along with his wife, Heather.
Yes.
So it's also been speculated that Gail and Don, who are Simon's parents, were not huge fans of Erin. We don't know why or even if that's true. But it does show goodwill on their part to at least agree to attend and listen to what Erin has to say.
Yeah.
So what happens next? Simon Patterson, the ex-husband, some have described him as being her estranged husband. He's also the father of the two children, a son and a daughter. We don't know the ages of the children, but according to the age on August 10, it was written that their toys lie behind a locked gate and Simon hasn't been spotted in town for over a week. So that would suggest to me that they're quite young if they've got toys in the garden.
Yeah. How old's Erin? 48.
That's right.
Probably young children,
So,
I assume.
Let's just say under 10 perhaps.
Yeah.
Or at least under 12. The age also said he and the Wilkinson children, so that would be the children of Ian and Heather.
Yeah.
They're grieving and are unsure of what to say publicly. They've kept to themselves, appointing a media advisor to deal with the throngs of reporters flocking to the town. And my friend Lisa, actually, she works at one of the Woolies over there, and she said that there's been media outside the Woolworths.
Oh, man. Oh, like, imagine being like connected to this case, obviously being the children of Heather and Ian, but like not directly attached to it and then being just hunted down by the media.
Yeah.
And not knowing anything.
Anyone that's close to the family has probably got people in their bushes with cameras. Simon was the one who was put into an induced coma in May of 2022 with gut issues. He actually twice came extremely close to death. So the media went to the house and interviewed Erin as she was coming in from getting groceries, and we heard the transcript of that exchange. Over the next day, she complained that the media were stopping her from leaving her house and keeping her trapped, so much so that she couldn't even go outside to feed her sheep.
Yeah, they were like at her front door.
Yeah, not even on the road. They were on the property, on the estate.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
I thought was
super illegal.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if that would be, like, if you tell someone to get off your property, don't they have to?
Well, yeah, it was a gated, closed property.
Yeah.
I just assumed that would be stepping on, what's the word?
Like trespassing.
Yes, trespassing, that's the word. Oh my God, I'm just frazzled by the story.
So at this point, today, as far as we know, Erin Patterson remains a suspect. And nothing has changed for the past few days, really.
Yeah.
The media over the last 72 hours has gone extremely quiet with new information. So a lot of media outlets are just doing, let's look at the timeline, much like what we just did.
Yeah.
Because they know that there is a very active investigation going on, but I feel like the police and probably legal professions have locked down any information coming out.
Yeah, they'd have to.
Yeah, especially since she was interviewed out front of her house. She was really put on the spot.
Absolutely.
And I would presume that, she'll probably have some kind of media training around this point.
Yeah, surely. It's just too active. There's just too much going on. And media involving themselves in a case can trip up the case.
100%. This is what I'm worried about. I'm really, really worried that there's just so much media going on. There's so much hearsay. There's so much Chinese whispers going on. Mm-hmm. How on earth are they going to choose, if this ever went to trial, a jury who's going to be impartial? Yeah. Everyone's heard about this and everybody seems to have an opinion.
Well, exactly. And especially if they put out, think about how a lawyer's going to lay this out. It's going to be obviously. And if you've already heard about it and made up your own mind about it, you can't be impartial.
Yeah.
You can't find people who don't know about this.
We'll never be chosen for juries.
Oh,
well,
man.
not for a homicide case.
Have you ever done jury duty?
I have not.
Either have I. Everyone around me, my partner's been picked twice.
Oh.
I'm like, hey.
Wow.
But I'd never be picked.
So I've got a series of questions. Let's discuss. Yep. And I think you have some questions as well?
Yes, I did a little bit of research myself, and I think my questions are going to be much the same as yours.
Okay, well, so if we double up, we double up.
Let's do it.
The big question, where did the mushrooms come from? She has said that she bought them locally. She then changed her answer to no comment. She's apparently, according to an article that's just come out today, she's gone back to saying, yes, I bought them at a local supermarket.
Yeah.
I know that people do forage for mushrooms around the Gippsland area, and I've heard that there are a lot of signs around the Gippsland area saying don't forage for mushrooms because death cap mushrooms can look very similar to the edible ones.
Yeah.
We've got family friends that have invited us over for lunch, and they've said, hey, we picked these mushrooms.
Oh, no.
Have some mushrooms. Nah.
No. You go, oh, thank you so much.
So if there had been a suspected batch of bad mushrooms, the stores would be able to trace that batch.
Yes.
and also the distribution centre that it went to. The farm or the growing area would also be investigated, and then a recall would then be publicised and widely publicised.
Absolutely.
Do you remember when the needle in the strawberries thing happened?
Absolutely.
Everyone knew, don't eat strawberries, there might be a needle in it. The lettuce thing.
I was going to say the lettuce and the spinach recently.
Right. If there's a recall on fresh produce Everyone knows about it. Everybody freaks out.
Absolutely.
And as far as I know, the villagers have not been told to freak out about mushrooms.
Yes, especially something so public. If
Yeah.
it was like Woolworths, they're not going to risk that
No,
at all.
100%.
No.
Is it possible that she got the mushrooms from a local produce stall, maybe at the side of the road? It's country. You see stalls for fruit and vegetables and flowers
Yeah.
when you're driving out in the country all the time. If that's true, could she be covering for the people that she bought them from?
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Like, could it be that innocent?
I mean, again, maybe, but like the fact that she's doubling down on the supermarkets and it's so obvious that there hasn't been the recalls, they wouldn't risk it. Like,
Yeah, it seems to me that she's sticking to that supermarket story.
she could also be terrified of changing any factor about her story.
True.
Because as soon as she changes something, everyone goes, oh, well, what about the rest of it? Like,
Everything falls apart once you change your story.
exactly. Yeah.
On August 10th, 9 News wrote that they had contacted all local grocery stores in Leongatha and a farmer's market, and all have said that they haven't had any recalls on any mushroom products.
Right.
So, what did she eat at the lunch? Most sources say that she didn't have any symptoms, but the Dr. Todd Grande video says that she had a whole different meal. But I'm getting mixed reports on this.
Yeah.
That some are saying they all went to the lunch, but she didn't present symptoms. Some are saying that she had a whole different lunch. There's no evidence to support that claim.
Yeah, she's not saying anything about it either.
No.
She said that the kids had something different, which if you're having like beef Wellington or stroganoff and
Kids are not interested in that.
kids aren't having
They
that.
want their nugs.
Yeah.
you know.
Tendies.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me some chips and tendies.
Yeah, and a bit of ketchup, and they're happy.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes, like, when you are doing a grown-up meal like that, it's just easier to keep the kids quiet. Like, give them something that they like.
Yeah. Especially if it was meant to be such an important lunch.
Yeah. Like, and beef Wellington is not an easy meal to prepare. It takes a lot of time and effort.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you're doing it from scratch.
And she could have not had it because she was so nervous.
Maybe.
It's another factor. Like, you just got to kind of look at it every single direction.
Maybe she's a fussy eater.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe she's got specific food requirements. Maybe she has diabetes or celiac disease, or maybe she has food intolerance and she just can't eat a lot of food that other people eat. So maybe she just had something very, very plain, like maybe she just had some veggies, or something like that.
She wanted to impress
But she
the
wanted
family.
to make something nice and homely and traditional for everybody else.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'm interested, if and when Ian wakes up, what is he going to have to say?
I hope that we do get to hear from him. Just for like the sake of the whole family and the people who have unfortunately passed. Like,
Because I'm telling you what I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing Erin fans speaking up.
no.
No one seems to be saying, hey, leave my friend alone. Or, she would never do this. She's a lovely person. She does things for the community. She's a great mum. No one is saying those things.
No, and she did say that one of I think it was in the Dr. Grande video, that she was keeping her friends out of it because they didn't want to be part of the media. She's like, I've got friends that, want to help me, but they don't want to be part of the media circus. So I'm telling them to stay away. And it's like, I think if you're a true friend, I think
I'd be picking up that phone.
I'd right there be like, excuse me, no, I'd be out the front of my friend's house, like, get out of here.
You need to leave. And, my friend would never do anything like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily be keeping quiet.
No, why? Unless they believe that it is possible that she has done something.
Right. Or at least I'd be, calling up the police and saying, look, do you need a character witness? Because I'm passionately, determined that my friend did not do this.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe she would not do this.
Right. If she did do it, what would the motive have been? What's your first thought?
My surface level brain, as soon as I heard everything that happened, is one of my questions about Simon obviously not being there. But she's got the whole backup family there. She's trying to convince them that they should get back together. He was sick last year, which again, we're not speculating whether she had anything to do with that. But what if she was just like, if I don't get the answer I want, like, this is the alternative. Like, this will be the outcome for me. Like,
A revenge?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I suppose that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. It's so risky, though, because what if they go, actually, we do love you, Erin. We miss you. We want you back. Like,
Exactly. In which case, I'm wondering if, say, in a situation like this, one might have put what they thought was a low dose of a poisonous substance in the lunch, expecting that if someone or people fell ill, I could act as a nurse of sorts and a loving family member willing to do anything for a sick family member.
yeah, I can prove myself.
In which case, exactly, I can prove myself. What about that time when you got sick and I looked after you?
Yeah.
And I drove you to your appointments, then, you know, I brought you dinner and all those things. In which case, it's almost like a case of Munchausen by proxy, isn't it? It's like getting sympathy through someone else that is ill, that is connected to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is that question in my mind.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see what you mean.
A lot of people are saying, well, if she's married to this guy and these people die, well, she's entitled to inheritance. So that's a possibility.
The thing, isn't it, about like her parents dying in 2019, and she inherited the house, which, again, speculation that it was like over $1 million home. How did her parents die? Like,
We don't know.
we don't know.
No.
And I'm not.
And both in the same year. It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, and again, it could just be a really great tragedy, which is
course.
awful. But it's just like, and then the husband getting sick last year as well, which is incredible that he pulled through all of that, and like, you know, coma and everything. Like, it's just, it could just be a really series of unfortunate events for her.
What I'm confused about is why didn't he have a diagnosis that was as quick as what these people had?
Yeah.
Death cap mushroom poisoning. I mean, within the week, within days, they had that answer.
Yes.
Where he has mysterious gut issues.
That have never
Maybe
been.
it just was mysterious gut issues. We don't know.
Yeah,
Unless she's experimenting.
well, you know, it's hard. I wasn't going to say it, but I'm glad you did, because like, unless she's playing around with like
Seeing what works.
seeing what works, seeing how she can like keep him around, but make sure he's weak enough to stay, you know, like, especially if it is a mistake, if she used death cap mushrooms, like you said, in a smaller dose, she was trying to do that and she's overdone it by a huge amount, obviously.
Apparently it only takes a tiny bit.
Yeah, I was reading about death cap mushrooms in general, like, just like hours, and with all the help in the world, all the doctors, all the toxicologists in the world, you still won't pull through. Wow. Possibly. There was a really cool ABC story about a man who did ingest death cap mushrooms and he lived.
Yes, I read about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they were talking to Dr. Jonathan Caro, who's the Director of Emergency Medicine and Clinical Toxicology at St. Vincent's Hospital in Melbourne. He said that it's extremely dangerous, difficult for doctors to determine and treat.
Right.
In his words, it's one of the most lethal and toxic ingestions a patient can have. Maybe no matter what treatment a patient is provided, they may still die. So you'll feel effects in 6 to 10 hours, which is watery vomit and diarrhea, liver failure, talking about Ian, and death can result in 7 to 10 days after ingesting.
Right.
So the fact that
It's textbook what's happened to them.
absolutely, but the fact that Simon was in intensive care for 21 days, we'll just say
Give or take.
give or take, from like his Facebook post, like it's possible to survive. It's just, I think, unfortunately for these people, it was just too late, and their age and
Considering
things like
their
that.
age, they could have had underlying health issues as well. Okay. So, you know, on that note, you know, we both know that women are well known throughout history for being poisonous. Most recently, we've had the case of Corey Richards. Are you familiar with this case?
I am not.
It's in Utah. It came out around June. Corey Richards, 33 years old, allegedly poisoned her husband several times using fentanyl before he died after drinking a cocktail she prepared for him. The day after his death, Corey held a party celebrating the purchase of their new property. Ugh. She then wrote and released a children's book about grief called Are You With Me? Before being arrested for his homicide. The case is still ongoing.
Yes. Okay. I have heard.
You've
of
read
this.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. According to an affidavit obtained by People magazine, Eric's family believed Richards was responsible for his death. They advised he warned them that if anything happened to him, she was to blame, the affidavit reads. Oh my God. Eric told his family of a pair of past instances where he suspected she poisoned him, once on Valentine's Day 2022 and another during a vacation to Greece a few years prior.
Greece? What? Like on holiday? This is rude. Like,
Yeah.
I can understand the motive behind that, but like, damn, that's rude.
Yeah. And Valentine's Day, no.
The day after his death, she had a party.
She had a party. She didn't call it off. She just went, and people, I don't think she told that many people, hey, my husband died last night. She just
Did no one
had
go,
a party.
hey, where's your husband? Where he at? And she was like, what husband? Like,
Yeah. It's not here.
oh my God. So it's still very common now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these cases, you know, we're looking back into Victorian times when it did happen a lot. And I think we will cover some of these in later episodes. But it's still happening. It's still happening. It goes back to that thing where, you know, women are more inclined to poison or shoot, whereas men are more inclined to strangle and beat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plenty of strengths, unfortunately.
Right. Okay, so let's just talk quickly a few other things. The dehydrator. This is evidence that the police took this case very seriously, because to me, police going to the tip that says this is serious, we're looking for something, you know, very particular. Also, the fact that there was no food danger or public health warning says to me that they are pointing the finger at the person that made the lunch.
Yes.
I'm also very interested to know, what are we going to see in her search histories? Her electronic devices have been seized, and we often see odd things in search histories before crimes are committed. For example, in the Kaylee Anthony case, there was an alleged search item relating to foolproof suffocation that was made from within the home on the day that she was last seen alive. And also in the Corey Richards case that we just spoke about, according to the BBC, a list of some of her alleged searches, as mentioned in the court documents, included: what is a lethal dose of fentanyl? You'll like this one. Luxury prisons for the rich in America.
Oh my God, no.
Death certificate says pending. Will life insurance still pay?
It's like a bookend. I'm guilty.
Yeah.
I did it.
There's more. There's more.
Oh my God.
Can cops force you to do a lie detector test? And how to permanently delete information from an iPhone remotely. So I think search histories, they're a little bit like 911 calls. They can be sensationalist, but they're not always proof.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, saying that it's like, I'm guilty in big neon signs, but also like, it's still new, isn't it? All the technology being evolved, like we have very old systems that don't involve a lot of new technology. So yeah, you're right.
Speaking of old systems, that guy that built the cell, the slave cell in his garage 2 weeks ago,
Oh my God.
and the lady escaped from that. He had a notepad.
No.
With things that he was going to do. One of them was choose someone that doesn't have many people around her because they won't miss her.
Oh.
He wrote it on paper with a pen.
Oh my God. Criminals are not always claimed to be the smartest people around.
No, thank God.
Far out.
Do you have any other questions that I haven't covered?
I think the big one for me is, why did Simon cancel last minute? Why was he ever invited?
All speculation points to yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But speculation also points to the fact that he had no intention of getting back together with Erin.
Yeah, true.
So it could just be, I cancelled because I don't want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
It could have been truly like I got called into work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're understaffed. Or it could be I don't feel well, or it could be anything.
It could be like the last time I ate your food, I didn't go so well, actually.
Let's just call it
like,
self-care.
Yeah. That's what I say every time I flag out. No.
Yeah.
Two things. I think the dehydrator's getting me. I can't wait for, like, it sounds like I'm like excited, but it's like I got to know what was in the dehydrator, because I think that's going to be such a big factor.
Right.
And it could be nothing. And it could not relate to her at all. It's just fascinating it turned up after.
After they fell ill.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think so. I kind of want to know, obviously. This is all
Having
very,
said that, though, Sunday for me is tip day. Sometimes if I've got a lot of crap in my garage, I wait till a Sunday and I just take it to the tip on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So maybe Sunday just happened to be tip day and she didn't want a dehydrator anymore.
Yeah, she's like, I'm done. I'm not interested in this anymore. Which,
No.
again, we just have to assume that, like, the best.
Exactly. We've got to give her the benefit of the doubt for the moment.
Yeah. I don't think... I was more like... I think we've covered pretty much all the questions here, and I'm sure we have the same questions as every single other person looking at this case.
Yeah.
I was really interested in how media and technology affects cases now and juries, and we were talking about that. And I just kind of stumbled upon something really cool that was a legal researcher in the Tasmanian Law Reform Institute has been recommending we adapt the procedures with jurors to change. So rather than trying to fight them, so they've recommended introducing training to anyone who is called to jury duty, educate them on the risks of the internet use and how jurors can self-regulate. This story is so huge and so quickly, like, just bang. It's been like, what, 2 weeks?
It's exploded.
It's massive. I just wonder if this is going to be like, regardless of the outcome, and I want to assume the best for everyone else involved, obviously, but I wonder how it's going to affect things like this, like how we're going to move forward. It's just fascinating.
Like, you know, are we just going to have to get jurors from Alice Springs who maybe don't read the paper because maybe the paper doesn't get delivered there? I mean, someone really remote that's never heard of this.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be what's the term? But there's going to be a lot of issues because people will go in with a predisposition or a pre-existing bias, I think.
Yeah, and what happens if it does go to court and it goes to trial, all of that, and it gets thrown out because everyone is so got an opinion, like predetermined opinion. Like it just is happening more and more. And I don't know, like maybe because it's happening right now, it feels very big, because it is. But it feels like one of those things that could change, you know, the system, hopefully.
I'm just hoping that this does not turn into 4 people dead.
Yes.
I'm just really hoping that Ian pulls through and that he gets whatever help, medicine, transplant that he needs.
Yeah.
Because he's already lost so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shall we conclude?
We shall.
In conclusion, is Erin Patterson a caring wife and mum, or is she the Black Widow of Leongatha?
What a great name, full stop.
Is this just a trial by media? If she is arrested and charged with the deaths, what will the trial look like? These are just thoughts that I wrote down last night before I went to sleep. Information about this case seems to have been locked down in the last few days, so I'm guessing police are trying to keep any remaining details out of the media in order for this to stay as impartial a case as possible. Exactly what we were just saying. Meaning, let's give this woman the benefit of the doubt. This yet still may be a terrible accident.
Innocent till proven guilty.
I also want to say, if you do have any information about this or any other unsolved case, I'm going to start reading out the Crime Stoppers number, because I think there's so many cases at the moment, especially cold cases, where somebody knows something. So if you do have any information about this or any other case, the Crime Stoppers number is 1-800-333-000, or you can go to their website, crimestoppers.com.au. You can send a written report online if you don't wish to speak to someone.
It's wonderful.
And just a reminder as well, Crime Stoppers are not the police. They're actually an independent, not-for-profit registered charity who work closely with the police. So don't be afraid of calling them and thinking that you're going to be in trouble or that you're going to be interrogated. They're purely just there to help get information about ongoing cases and cold cases.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So I suppose we'll probably follow this up with a part 2 when more information comes out.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'd love to hear your opinions on this. Get on our Instagram page. It's I Think My Fridge is Haunted. Leave us a comment. And also this season, we're pushing reviews. So give us a review.
Tell us. Be nice.
Leave us a nice review.
Yes, absolutely.
On Apple Podcasts or anywhere else that you can. I don't know where you can. Spotify? I don't think you can do reviews on Spotify.
I don't think so.
No,
Apple,
I don't think so
I
either.
believe you can. Just a nice comment on
Just
Instagram.
a nice comment. Yeah.
Just put little star emojis and, you know.
London Lunacy, will you come back?
Absolutely, I will.
you.
This has been an absolute blast, and I love like brain vomiting with you. Like it's just
Thank you. I like brain vomiting with you too.
brain vomiting. That's totally a thing. But it's just nice to discuss these things where, like, I feel like a lot of us are kind of scared to say things sometimes, and obviously fear of judgment, of course. But like, giving you and I a place to talk about these things is wonderful, but also giving everyone a community to go, I thought that too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful. So, yeah.
Do you want to take us out with our outgoing tagline?
Oh, yes. I know the first, stay creepy.
No.
No. No, it's don't be a creep. I've got the last half. It's don't be a creep. Okay.
I'll do the first bit then.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Until next time, be creepy.
But don't be a creep.
Woo!
Yeah!